throughout the early childhood years, specifically throughout preschool. As stated by England, most children acquire vocabulary at an impressive rate during the preschool years. Within most preschool curriculums, vocabulary development is a major component. Within the creative curriculum, vocabulary objectives include uses language to express thoughts and needs, uses an expanding expressive vocabulary, comprehends and responds to texts, and interacts during read-alouds and book conversations. Not only do these objectives create accountability for vocabulary development, but also for the use of literature throughout the early childhood classroom. Dialogic reading is considered a best literacy practice, specifically within the early childhood realm. Dialogic reading is essentially engaging students as active participants throughout the shared read-aloud. Dialogic reading is based on 3 principles. Educators must encourage the child to participate within the read-aloud. Educators must also provide feedback to the child as the child responds to the read-aloud. And finally, the educator must adapt his or her reading style to the child's growing linguistic abilities. By keeping these key principles in mind, dialogic reading is considered an avenue for rich language development, specifically for those within pre-kindergarten programs. Within dialogic reading, the educator must ask questions, including WH questions, such as what, where, when, who, which, whose, why, and how. For my dialogic reading lesson, I read the story Tacky the Penguin by Helen Lester. I read this book to 3 pre-kindergarten students. These students are all 4 years old and are preparing to attend a public kindergarten class next year. Additionally, these students are all considered low income. 2 students are Caucasian, while 1 student is considered mixed race. Also, these 3 students attend a public pre-kindergarten classroom. Within the book, I approached not only from a dialogic reading standpoint, but I also incorporated word walk features. Therefore, prior to reading the story, I introduced 3 Tier 3 words: companion, hearty, and dreadfully. As I introduced these words, students repeated the words. Additionally, I provided child-friendly definitions and we discussed pictorial examples. Within the following clip, you will see how I introduced the book and reminded students of what to do in regard to the Tier 3 words throughout the text.
And it is called Tacky the Penguin. Tacky the Penguin. Remember, if you hear the words hearty, or
Capiche?
dreadfully, or
Best friends?
companion. If you hear those words in the book, I want you to raise your hand really high, okay? You ready? Yes, like that. So this is called Tacky the Penguin. Tacky the Penguin. There once lived a penguin. His home was nice, icy land he shared with his companion.
Companion!
Companion? What does that word mean again?
Companion.
Friend. It means a friend, right? So he lived with his friends. Good. His companions.
Have friends.
His companions, his friends were named.
Within the next clip, you will see examples of dialogic questioning as I read aloud Tacky the Penguin. Additionally, you will observe student responses in the way in which students are actively engaged within the text.
What's that blue thing?
He lives, well, we're going to talk about that. He lives in an icy land. Where do you think Tacky lives? In an icy place? Yeah, why do you think he lives there?
Because it's cold. He's a penguin.
He's a penguin, so he needs to be cold, right? Could he live on the beach?
Yes.
Could a penguin live?
Why is he cold?
No, he has to be cold because penguins like it where it's cold. All right, his companion.
What's friends? Friends. Two companions.
His companions were named Goodly, Lovely, Angel.
Following the text, students given the opportunity to respond to the text. In this way, students could replicate Tier 3 words by providing pictorial representations. Given the choice, all 3 students wanted to provide pictorial representations of the word companion. Additionally, upon further observation, students decided to replicate the dialogic reading lesson as pictured by reading aloud the book and questioning students as they read aloud Tacky the Penguin. Overall, in regard to dialogic reading, the results in which I observed were positive in regard to vocabulary retention. Students not only were actively engaged within the text, but also were replicating and teaching classmates Tier 3 words. Like previously stated, students were replicating the lesson for other classmates and teaching them the words that were discussed. Ultimately, dialogic reading is an engaging instructional strategy in which incorporates literature throughout the early childhood classroom while increasing vocabulary retention for early childhood students. Finally, dialogic storybook reading provides children with opportunities to express themselves, to build upon existing language with the aid of appropriately structured questions, and to witness language-rich models. Ultimately, dialogic reading is a best literacy practice for the early childhood classroom.